So, I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of feeling guilty. And it took me a long time to realize this, but for me, almost every day is Yom Kippur. And I'm just tired of it. And I don't think I'm going to fast this year. I may or may not go to shul. I really don't know. But if I do go, I'm not going to do the beat your breast prayer thing. You know, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about the other thing. I can't do it this year. You know. So this year, what I'd like to do is remember a few good things that I did, and I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I'm actually serious. It's not for ego, but it's positive reinforcement. With this Yom Kippur, I want to remember the good stuff that I did last year, so that I can remember to do it again next year. Now, one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is power, not like presidential power or corporate executive power, but the way that power manifests in small ways in our lives. As a writer, there have been a lot of times when I felt powerless, and I'm not complaining. I chose to do this work, and I'm not going to whine about it. I just want to point out that there are times, or admit that there are times when I felt weak. And now I feel a little stronger, thank God, Baruch Hashem. And so it just got me thinking about power, and mostly about what happens when people who feel powerless get a little power. So, a couple of years ago, I was invited to be an editor at this tiny literary magazine. It was respected, but small. It was nice, you know, and it felt good to be recognized, and it felt really good to help people get published. But I was disturbed by the behavior of my colleagues, particularly in how they dealt with the writers. One editor was patronizing, another was dismissive, even contemptuous at times, and another didn't do much editing. He didn't seem to think that it was his job as editor. And yet they were all writers themselves. And this was when I first noticed what happens, at least in my little tiny corner of the world. What happens when people get a taste of power? I think sometimes people start to manifest the behavior that frustrated them the most when they were on the other side of it. You could call it the law of literary power. So, anyway, the atmosphere at the magazine felt unhealthy, so I backed out. I said, thanks for the opportunity. I've got too much work. Good luck to you, etc. And then this year, this job opportunity came up. And it was a really, really good job. It was kind of my dream job, and I really wanted it. And I didn't get it because I didn't have the right experience. Well, why didn't I have the right experience? Because I had quit the job at the little literary magazine. And when I found out that I didn't get the job that I really wanted, I was terribly disappointed, and I was very, very angry at myself for not continuing at the previous place, for not sticking it out. Because if I had, then I'd be earning more money right now, and I'd have more influence right now, and I'd have more power. But there's another way to look at it, which is that I had backed out of a situation that felt ethically compromised. It was ethically compromised in a mild way. Nobody was getting flogged. Nobody was stealing from anybody. But they were talking about people and their work in a way that made me feel really uncomfortable. So I didn't want to be a part of it. If it meant, in the end, that I had missed an opportunity, a subsequent opportunity, then so what, you know? My work is getting out into the world. I love my teaching job. I love my wife. I love my kid. So what, you know? And that's my little story. I mean, that's the thing I decided to feel good about this year. I know it's not earth-shattering, and I want to stress that I'm not trying to present myself as some kind of moral exemplar. There were many, many things I could have done better in 57, 72, and I'm just tired of obsessing about them. It wasn't making me any happier. It wasn't making me a better person. So, for what it's worth, here's my point. The Talmud says that the Messiah will come to a generation that is either entirely evil or entirely righteous. But most of us don't have the opportunity to be entirely evil or entirely righteous. We're not starting Ponzi schemes, and we're not, you know, dedicating our lives to Doctors Without Borders. For most of us, the choice to do good or evil arrives in much smaller doses, and the situations are ambiguous. But I would posit that many such situations come about when we are in a position of power. Not the power to fire 5,000 people, not the power to invade Iraq. I mean, it's how we treat the waiter, or the guy who comes looking for a job, or the kid who just out of grad school who's desperate to be published.